Hey guys, it's HydraTek here. In this tutorial video, I want to show you one method I used to turn a rhythmic kind of bass loop into an immersive, mysterious soundscape. And I hope you will find the techniques explored inspiring, also to use your own samples in creative ways to turn them into something totally new. By the way, I've just released a free sound pack called Cryptic. It's made of 100 arcane soundscapes, atmospheres, and drones, and it's available for free on my store until the 7th of January. So be sure to grab it before it's gone. And it's a teaser of a forthcoming sound bank I cannot reveal yet. So this is the sound we are going to start with. It's a bass loop from my soundpack cipher, and we will turn it into this soundscape. So let's try to deconstruct what's going on here. So this is our original synth loop. What we are going to do is first to reverse the sound. Maybe choose a different starting point in the loop. For example, here, halfway. Or maybe here, sorry. We are going to slow down the tempo to make it more of a soundscape and ambient territory. Around 100 BPM or 115 is fine. I'm going to double its original BPM tempo. Choose a different warp mode. I went for the texture mode because I think it really fits the sound, so we can play around with the grain size. Then I'm going to pitch it up by 13 semitones, or we can actually experiment later because this is not going to be a pitched sound, so we can use the pitch transposition to change basically the tonal character of the soundscape. Something like this is fine to start with. Then I made a volume automation to change the envelope behavior of the sound so that it gradually comes in and then fades away. So I made this curve. Perfect. Now, since we are going to employ a lot of processing, something I would suggest in these kinds of sound design experiments is to put a limiter at the end of the chain or on your master bus in this case, since you never know what can happen, so you really want to protect your ears. Here I used Frontier, which is a free limiter from D16 group. It's also a very colorful and characterful limiter, and I use it very often because I like the sound of it. Here there is an utility just to make sure the sound is still mono-compatible later. Now let's employ the send effects. As you can see, I already sent the sound to send A and send B by full amount. By default, there is a reverb on send A and a delay on send B. And we are going to adjust a little bit the settings to make the sound that we really want. So let's isolate the reverb send. It sounds like this. There is a big size, medium decay. Here the input filter is removing the low end of the sound, so it basically creates this really fresh high-mid reverb sound. Then moving to the delay. I chose a ping pong mode and a different sync value of the left and the right channel tempo of the delay. So there is this cool motion between the left and the right channel, giving a stereo interest. Also the filter is focused on the mid-range. Then I activated the send to the send. So basically part of the sound of the delay send is going to the reverb send and vice versa. So they influence each other and create a more glued overall sound. Let's hear them together. Nice. Now going to the effects chain. I started applying Expert Reverb, which is a cool freebie from Audio Modern. It has an inspiring interface and it's also interactive with the mouse. You can shift click with the mouse and change the depth, and it also reflects on the graphics, as you can see. I automated the movement of my mouse to create a different depth value, so it gradually increases over time and then decreases, creating this sort of shape. Also, if you right click, you can change the shape. I chose shape free, but you can experiment. You can also play around with the freeze, but here I didn't use it and went for the maximum value of wet. Cool. Then I experimented with a bunch of spectral resonators, which are cool new additions to the Ableton stock devices from Ableton 11. You can get very interesting textures and bring out different tonal elements from the initial source. I went for the Wonder algorithm. Then I played around with the number of harmonics used by the resonator. Of course, the higher the value and the richer the sound, but also higher the CPU usage. For the third resonator, I also automated the stretch control so that it increases over time. Basically, this control is what compresses or expands the harmonics. So let's hear it in isolation by putting the dry wet at full wet. It sounds similar to the Shepard tone effect, but by using it in parallel, like the other resonators, you can add this movement of the harmonics beneath the original texture of the sound, creating a further interest in the soundscape. Let's hear all the resonators together. Then I exploited an autopan, a device I really like to create interesting stereo movement in the sound. I went for a random waveform, synced, and it sounds like this. So we get a wider result. Then I used another reverb in serial. So it's our second reverb if you think of the first X-Reverb. And I chose this one because it really emphasizes the low end of the sound with this mode called Osmium. Super dark, resonant, long bass decay. So with the long bass decay, our sound really gets a more ominous character. So let's hear before and after. It becomes fuller, more rich, and I would say even more expressive. But to polish a little bit the sound, I used Pro Q3 in the dynamic mode. So the low mids around 200 Hz are dynamically controlled because our reverb really went heavy on there. I also used an high pass filter and this high band around 6000 Hz dynamically expands this high mid band, in particular when there is that really cool trailing effect which I wanted to emphasize dynamically but focused on the side channel only, and I used a linear phase mode for the Pro Q. It sounds like this. To finish off the sound, I wanted to widen it a bit more, but with more control. I really like this side widener. You have 3 modes, a width control, and this tone knob, which basically can focus the effect more on the mid-range or on the full spectrum. We can check in mono, but I think it's still quite mono compatible. Yeah, I think that the application of these kinds of sounds are not in mono, of course, but it's always good to check out how the sound is mono. And if they don't completely change character or balance in the EQ spectrum, I think you're fine. So that's it, basically. I hope you enjoyed this little sound design session. You can download the resulting soundscape for free. The download is in the description. Remember to check out also the Cryptic soundpack, which contains 100 soundscapes generated with a similar method shown in this video. And yeah, happy holidays and see you the next time.
Into the future.